What was the role of Indian armed forces and intelligence in 1971 war?
In 1971, the Indians took advantage. They were very deep conspirators, the Indians. Their idea was to break up Pakistan. In 1971, we remember India in 1947 had deprived East Pakistan of Assam, the entire northeast of India, the entire Tripura. All these were supposed to be part of Pakistan. The northeast had a huge Muslim population, but Indians had cheated us.
What negative role Indian establishment, Indian intelligence, and Indian military played in Bangladesh?
After 1971, Indians had tried very much to control our bureaucracy. But now that we are out of Hasina regime, the people of this country are determined never will India be allowed to interfere in our internal affairs ever again.
Has India been completely ousted from Bangladesh, or still they have some signs, some footsteps?
We realized during the Hasina Wajid period that what she did was she compromised so much of Bangladesh's interests, with the Indians. Right now, the government has begun the process to kick out all Indians from Bangladesh.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello and welcome to Program Inside in V News English. Dear viewers, 1971 war was an extraordinary event in South Asia. And that war was played in the former East Pakistan, currently Bangladesh. In 1971 war in Bangladesh, which is currently Bangladesh and former East Pakistan, Indian intelligence and Indian military played an extremely negative role in creating first instability and by supporting rebel groups, providing them arms, providing them military assistance, and finally that led to the creation of new state Bangladesh. The Indian involvement story didn't end on 16 December 1971. Since 1971, 16th of December, India continued its negative activities on Bangladeshi soil, particularly anti-Pakistan propaganda. It did its level best to distort positive image of Pakistan among the people of Bangladesh. But fortunately, Bangladeshi people did not accept this false Indian narrative about Pakistan, particularly the Bangladeshi youth. We will discuss today with a different angle the incidents of 1971 war. And to discuss this all, we are fortunate to have with us renowned professor of international relations, politics, and regional affairs, Professor Dr. Shahid Zaman. Professor Shahid Zaman is not an ordinary person. He has been a professor in Bangladesh top University of Dhaka, where he taught international relations, politics for years and years. He also served as a foreign policy advisor to the former late Bangladeshi President, Mr. Ziaur Rahman. In addition to this, as a professor of international relations, Professor Shahid Zaman traveled widely to different parts of the world, participated in various international symposiums, conferences, seminars, and also wrote extensively about international relations. He also keep a very close eye on Bangladesh and Pakistan relations, and particularly, he also keep a very close eye and have a very good in-depth understanding of Indian negative role in Bangladesh. Thank you so much, Professor Shahid Zaman sir, for joining Program Inside in V News English, and we warmly welcome you. Would you like to share your thoughts? What was the role of Indian armed forces and intelligence in 1971 war?
Thank you very much. As a patriotic Bangladeshi, of course, I'd like to look at the valiant freedom fighters who sacrificed their lives and helped us maintain and create a Muslim country out of what was Pakistan. Without our great officers like Major Ziaur Rahman, Major Khalid Musharraf, Major the sector commanders who had actually led our war of independence, we never required the Indians to get involved. This was always a repulsive thing for us. The Indians utilized the opportunity, and they had very dangerous schemes which they were hiding. It was understandable at that time. Had it not been such a unfortunate reality where we were sort of denied the right as a majority in former East Pakistan, the Indians could have never, exploited in our part of the world, because we Bengalis, we were the ones who founded the Pakistan in 1947. And the way I look at it, I had always said to my students, and I always believed that it was Hussain Shahid Sahrawardi, the Prime Minister of United Bengal in British India, who won the Muslim League. Only Indian state, British state, where the Muslim League had won a majority and the Muslims had come to power and were avowed to the idea of creating Pakistan. I still feel that we pay our deepest respects to Hussain Shahid Sarwardi, who eventually became the Prime Minister of Pakistan.
Exactly.
And
in the beginning,
helped and secured the security of Pakistan amidst Indian ambitions to destabilize Pakistan. He was the one who created the idea of alliances with CENTO and SEATO. He was the one who went to China and fostered close ties between Pakistan and China. I still remember his address at the United States CBS television program back in 1955, how brilliantly he defended Pakistan's joining of the Western alliances. I still remember when Sarwardi, we were told, when there were great protests by Islamist groups at Dhaka University in 1955 under Maulana Bhashani, Prime Minister Sarwardi flew to Dhaka and defended Pakistan's joining the Western alliances, saying 0 plus 0 makes a 0. That is, an alliance with the Muslim world at that time would have kept us unarmed. So with this background, in 1971, we Bengalis, we always believed that a strong Pakistan was perhaps the need of the hour. If Pakistan could have survived 1958 and 1971 with democracy, then Pakistan would have never broken up. This is something which is shared by many of our professors over here, elderly professors. If 1958 democracy could continue in Pakistan, despite all the squabbles, Pakistan would have survived as a very healthy democracy, and perhaps the most healthy. And Indians could have never touched even a hair. But unfortunately, in 1971, the Indians took advantage. They were very deep conspirators, the Indians. Their idea was to break up Pakistan, not only to break up Pakistan, to create the myth that as if we, the Bengalis and our brothers in West Pakistan, as if we were different. But we were united by all means. India would have just exploited a weak situation. And
Exactly.
since then, they have never given up any opportunity to enslave us. In 1971, after the 16th of December, they kept on looting all the Pakistan surrendered weapons for 6 months. This is the best example of what the Indian military psyche was. One of our brave fighters, Major Jalil, subsector commander in the Sundarban area, he resisted with his forces the Indian army trying to steal away in trucks thousands and thousands of ammunition of the Pakistan army, and he fired at the Indian army back in March 1971. He tried to stop them, but unfortunately many of his soldiers were injured. Many of the Bangladeshi soldiers were injured. That was the beginning of our enmity towards India, and we had never ever wanted that they should stay in our soil. Unfortunately, we were able to kick them out, and they had never forgotten it. For years later on, they kept on complaining. Eventually, after 1975, when Ziaur Rahman developed close ties with Pakistan, and we developed a military relationship between the two countries, we recognized that we were the same people, same spirited Muslims of this subcontinent who would never allow the Indians to exploit us. Unfortunately, the Army League government, they were the ones who showed their true face. And Sheikh Mujib's daughter, this traitor, she decided to play into the hands of the Indian government, and her treachery has led her to get the ultimate punishment. So this month of December, is very different for us. We recollect a lot of things that should have never happened. If this Awami League government would have been kicked out earlier, we would have developed our military capability to a level where we would have tried to correct all the wrongs done to us in 1971. We remember India in 1947 had deprived East Pakistan of Assam, the entire northeast of India, the entire Tripura. All these were supposed to be part of Pakistan. The northeast had a huge Muslim population, but Indians had cheated us. They took away. Even today, in this month of December, we still believe that we will continue our efforts to correct this wrong.
That's great that we will continue efforts to correct the past blunders. Professor Shahid Zaman, sir, please precisely share your thoughts with us, as you have already explained that after 1971, there have been strong Indian footprints on Bangladeshi soil. But precisely some of the major conspiracies that India carried out on Bangladeshi soil since 1971 till to date, and if we talk of today, that will be a different question, 2024, the end of Hasina Wajid's government. But since 1971, what negative role Indian establishment, Indian intelligence, and Indian military played in Bangladesh? As you rightly pointed out, that Bangladesh was kept quite weak. There have been close watch surveillance by the Indian establishment on Bangladesh. Bangladeshi military remained weak. Its economy remained weak. Please, your thoughts.
Well, actually, after 1971, Indians had tried very much to control our bureaucracy. At that time, the Army League government was in power. The Indians realized that it won't be possible for them to continue to keep their military presence here. So within 4 months, they had to pack out and get out of this country. And as I told you, they had to take examples of being fired at as they left this country. And they looted our country of all our military wealth. So we had a very difficult time developing our military capability. Even when Mrs. Gandhi, she was the prime minister, she even did not want that our prime minister at that time should go to Pakistan to attend the Islamic summit. Fortunately, the Sheikh Mujib was very assertive. He told the Swaran Singh and Mrs. Gandhi right on the face that, Madam Prime Minister, don't try to teach me what I should do and where I should go. We don't need to talk to you.
In Lahore, exactly.
Yes, Prime Minister Bhutto and Prime Minister Mujib, we both recognized each other. The OIC played a very valiant role. That was the beginning of the journey of Bangladesh to be a solid supporter of the OIC, a part of the Islamic Ummah, Muslim Ummah. But after that, when President Zia took over after a coup, again the Indians tried to muddle in our affairs. And again, President Zia had to act very cautiously. At that time, his education minister, his foreign minister was Professor Shamsul Haq, the gentleman who had earlier served President Yahya as Pakistan's education minister, Professor Shamsul Haq. And he played an elderly, learned scholar. He played a very sound diplomatic role to restrain India from intervening in our country. Slowly, President Zia had opened up to China. We opened up to Saudi Arabia, and our relationship with Pakistan improved, developed steadily. We began military cooperation. Pakistan officers would start coming to Dhaka to do their staff college course. We would be having trainers from the Pakistan Army to help us train our military forces. So that was the beginning of a true cooperation between Pakistan and Bangladesh. Most of our officers and men who had been commissioned in the Pakistan Army recollected with great pride their role. Even President Zia used to be very proud of his role in the 1965 war against India. He fought bravely in the Khemkaran sector, where we have been told, and we have always felt proud, that our East Bengal regiment played the most valiant role in the defense of Lahore in the 1965 war. So many of the gallantry awards won by the Bengal regiment was for these Khemkarans in the Khemkaran sector. And President Zia would always feel proud, and along with him, our army officers who had been commissioned in the Pakistan Army gave good leadership to build up the army. And they were very, very strongly appreciative of the way they learned the art of war in the staff college in Quetta, the way they were trained. Those were of golden value for our military valor. So you see, despite the frustrations of 1971, whatever, but the memories of our officers and men having the training in Pakistan Army made them feel very proud and extremely worthy to continue the same tradition of building the military. So over the years, we had developed very close ties with both China and Pakistan. We had developed so many institutions. Our National Defense College had been working in close cooperation with the NDC in Islamabad. We've had wonderful defense advisors from Pakistan who would greatly contribute to our building up a military defense against any Indian instigation. And even today, what we have today in this month of December is a very determined military set up in Bangladesh. All retired officers marching together. We had a long march yesterday that went up all the way to the border, the border with Agartala, and millions of people joined along with the retired army officers, and they said any inch of soil, if India tries to crawl, we'll fight them back with their lives. There is a lot of activity going on in India now. They have been flying their planes on our borders. They have been putting missiles, hundreds of missiles on our borders near the Siliguri corridor. And they have been deploying their best Rafale planes right on our borders on the northern side. But Bangladeshi people are now awakened. We are absolutely conscious. The army, the military is working with China and also with Pakistan to acquire arms in case if India tries any adventurism, we'll fight them back, whatever the consequence. We believe that we are on the right side of history, and the Indians have always tried to exploit us, to try to turn us into some sort of a country which will be subservient to them, and the former Prime Minister Hasina was greatly responsible. But now that we are out of Hasina regime, the people of this country are determined. Never will India be allowed to interfere in our internal affairs ever again.
That's great analysis that you shared, that India wanted a Bangladesh country suppressed, subservient to India. But as you also shared this very big news that thousands of Bangladeshi, including former soldiers, marched towards Agartala, and it made it clear that they will not let India to get even an inch of Bangladeshi soil. That's very great. I would just like to precisely ask you what has been specifically this negative role of Indian establishment in BD during Hasina Wajid time. Bangladesh and India came close. Bangladeshi people were upset, and finally the movement started, and movement got success. So how do you describe these all events and Bangladeshi people's sentiments against Indian involvement? So has India been completely ousted from Bangladesh, or still they have some signs, some footsteps?
Thank you. This is a very, very important question that you have asked. We realized during the Hasina Wajid period that what she did was she compromised so much of Bangladesh's interest, with the Indians. She gave India a passage to, communicate to the Northeast, and this passage was absolutely not supposed to be given. People in our country were totally opposed to grant any corridor to India because our friendship with China, our military ties with China, and also the very cordial role that Pakistan played to advise us in developing our military power. It required that India should be completely kept out. But Hasina gave India passage. She gave her the right to use our ports. She gave her the right to carry equipment which would not be opened and inspected. So these could not be acceptable to our people. And people resented very prominently. Hasina was so unpopular. The only reason why she was unpopular is because she succumbed to Indian pressures. Mm-hmm. So eventually we were able to, the students came out finally, spontaneously. The students' revolt was very openly to expose Indian designs. And it was at this time, and also in the recent past, that we saw that Pakistan, our friend Pakistan, became very conscious of our close links, our psychological links, the hands of friendship which were extended by Pakistan. It really, we grabbed that hand of friendship before it was too late, before an entire generation would fall apart psychologically from the deep roots, the bonds of brotherly links between the two parts. We still felt, and I particularly felt, that I should inspire our retired officers to really trust Pakistan, because I thought that we should not hide our feelings towards Pakistan, that they are really our brothers. There were so many efforts by Indians to create a distance between us. The Indians had always tried to, bring 1971 in a manner as if they were the ones who were behind the creation of Bangladesh. We never wanted Indians to have anything to do with us. We hated the fact that they entered our soil. Never ever was any Indian advisor or any Indian trainer was entertained. It was kept secret whenever Hasina tried to invite an Indian scholar to come and conduct lectures on aeronautical engineering or some science subject. It was always resented strongly by the younger officers, and we would always demand that no Indian officer should come to instruct, kick them out. None of our officers wanted to go for training courses to India because our officers always felt that the Indians were hiding something from our officers. They would conduct certain aspect of the courses in a way where many young officers who I took classes with came complained to me bitterly over the years how they felt degraded to have to go to India to attend training courses, junior command course, or even a senior officer going for an NDC in New Delhi would come back and have a lot of, resentment about the fact that the Indians treated the entire subcontinent as Akhand Bharat. The BJP government still dreamt that they would turn Pakistan, Bangladesh, and even Nepal into a part of their Akhand Bharat dream. This was greatly resented, and we were aware of it. So when Hasina was not really acting to get rid of Indian influence, she was not even trying to keep commitments with China on developing our, river projects. We realized that she was always listening to the Indian designs, and we felt that we cannot go along with these Indian designs. And finally, when the student revolution took place, the whole scenario changed. And right now, we are every day we get rid of Indian experts, Indians who have come into this country. They have looted so much of our money. You won't believe it, but Bangladesh is the second largest source of Indian foreign exchange. Every year, they siphoned away over several billion dollars. Their experts came here to run our industrial projects and took fat salaries instead. We never even were told about all this. Right now, the government has begun the process to kick out all Indians from Bangladesh, and the Indian media is furious. They simply cannot accommodate it. For years, they looted our money, our wealth, and even now it is said that most of the several billion dollars are still lying in Indian banks, looted from this country. And we are trying our best to recover the money. We are trying Western sources. Fortunately, we have excellent people chosen by our chief advisor, people who have worked with the World Bank, who have been with the IMF to use their talents. And we are trying to recover all the stolen money that India took away from us. So Indians are very bitter. We would like to see that our brothers, the intelligence agencies of Pakistan, would give us a helping hand to chop off any cunning Indian who try to, exploit our country, and we'll develop very close ties where our military links will be just like as if we are one country, one nation. And with Pakistan, inshallah, we'll have that type of a relationship.
Last only 1 minute only, how you see relations between Pakistan and Bangladesh under new interim leadership that is called Dr. Yunus, that will be different from what was during Hasina? Very precisely because
of course.
Yes.
Of course, it would be totally different. I'm a little surprised that it took us 3 months to remove all those barriers that were imposed by Hasina to grant free visas to Pakistan. Pakistan has been very kind to us and very friendly that we now have very easy visa access to Pakistan. Many younger generation people, many people who used to travel to India and spend millions, now are waiting for flights to reopen so that they can visit Pakistani places. They're already in Calcutta. There is a lot of whipping going on. most of the streets of Calcutta, most of the hotels in Calcutta are almost going to be shut down because, Bangladeshis used to fly with plane loads of money every day, 3 flights a week. In fact, people in parts of Dhaka would rather used to go so easily to Calcutta to do their shopping and come back home in the afternoon. All of it has been stopped completely. And we are now looking forward to the introduction of direct flights between Dhaka and Karachi, and Dhaka and Lahore also. Why not Lahore? Because if there is a flight with Islamabad from Kathmandu, if there is a flight between Islamabad and Colombo, there should certainly be a direct flight to Lahore. And Dhaka, and once those flights are introduced, and once the ticket rates are reasonable, I mean that it shouldn't exceed Dhaka Bangkok, return ticket. Around 30,000 taka is the Dhaka Bangkok. That should be the maximum return ticket from between Dhaka and Karachi. And we would expect our Pakistani friends to come to Bangladesh and visit, so that we have lots and lots of our brothers from Pakistan coming and going to all the cities, traveling as if it is their own country. It is a dream thought, and it would be wonderful. And we would see the Indians weep. We will kick them in their butts and say to the Indians, get out and get lost forever. That's what it is.
The great sentiments really expressed by you, and I also hope people in Bangladesh, in India, and in Pakistan would definitely like such vibrant views. And thank you so much, despite your busy schedule, sharing your thoughts and sharing this wonderful interview with the program Insight in V News English. And inshallah, in the future, we'll remain in touch with you. And dear viewers, till our next program, goodbye and Allah Hafiz from Studios.
Thanks for having me. Allah Hafiz.